Thanks. So I want to kind of give you like the broad overview of all the classes, and then tomorrow I believe Ms. Stucklick will be here to kind of talk about specifically her course, and then maybe like follow-up questions that you have from today. So just going to talk about the big picture. So these two courses. So for math, there's AI and there's AA. So if you roll around the word in your head for a while, applications. For math applications, what do you think of when you think of math applications? Yeah.
Like real world scenarios?
Yeah. So like in math, the hot word right now is modeling. So for applications, there's more modeling. So like in my class, we do, like most recently we did some financial math. So it's like if I were to take out this loan, you know, how long would it take me to pay it off, and what is the interest that I would pay on this loan? So applications, AI is more like modeling applications, real world, and a lot of, I'm looking for a calculator, a lot of calculator use. So like everything we do is done on the calculator. As opposed to AA, which is analysis and approaches. So if you thought about analysis for a math class, what would that make you think of, analysis? Yes?
Looking at patterns.
Patterns. So for AA, for the other class that I don't teach, it's more like pure math. It's like, why does this work the way it works? I want to look at the pure math. I want to look at the proof. I don't know how many proofs you've done, but it's a lot of proofs. It's a lot of like, I love math and I want to just dig in and do a bunch of proofs because I want to figure out why this works. So those are the two main classes. AI, applications and interpretations, AA, analysis and approaches. So those are the two main courses. And then within those two, of course, we have HLSL for each one. So at RAS, you have an option of 4 different math classes, which is not at every school. It's nice that you can pick from all 4 at this school. So, how does the approach differ? I don't expect you to read all these words, but one of the main takeaways is if you are doing analysis and approaches, you're someone that's like going into a math field. You're going into math, you're going into engineering, as opposed to with applications and interpretation, you're maybe going into like a social science, psychology, economics. So kind of like, I know you're only in 10th grade, but you have to think already about like, what do I want to do at university, and that's going to kind of tell me which math class I'm going to take. Like, if you're going to very heavy math, if you are going to a very heavy math field, then you would take the analysis, as opposed to social science, that'd be more like applications. So, this kind of goes through what I've already said, but with analysis and approaches, it's more like proof, analytical. It's a deeper understanding of the way math works, pure math. And applications is more like technology. How can I use the technology, aka the calculator, to do this math for me? So I'm not like crunching every single number. I just want to use the tool, the technology, to answer my questions. I think this next slide.
Wait, you don't use a calculator in AA?
So, good question. AA, I think I get to this later on, but AA, there's 3 papers, and there's 1 paper where you don't use a calculator. So, with
AI, you use all of them?
AA is, you always can use the calculator.
AI, you can always use
AA, sorry. AI, you can always use the calculator. AA, this comes up later on. AA, there's 3 papers, and in the 3rd paper, there's no calculator.
And AI?
Like the SAT.
Like the SAT.
AI, you can always use calculator.
Yeah.
There's 3 papers.
Yeah, there's 3 papers.
Yeah, but like you can use calculators. There are papers.
So this is the subject breakdown. So here is AI, SL, HL, and here's AA, SL, HL. So just one example is yellow. Yellow is statistics and probability. So if you like statistics, this is application. So statistics, you have 36 hours, 52 hours, depending on SL, HL. So statistics, there's way more statistics, as you can see, than in AA.
Is that per month or per year?
This is actually hours that you spend over the whole 2 years. So this is like suggested. So this is like 36 hours for statistics in this class, 52 hours in this class. These are hours spent over the whole year. Or 2 years.
Is that like,
In class.
oh, in class? Oh.
Yeah.
That does seem a little like little bit.
Yeah, you can take a picture. And I'm sure we could just email this to you, and then you can just have this.
Oh.
You can just have this with email to you. So, this is how do HL classes differ. So I just kind of mentioned this a little bit. There's 2 papers in AI, but HL has the 3rd paper. There's a 3rd paper, and then in that 3rd paper, there's no calculator. So, of course, just like every other IB class, there's more content in the HL classes. You're doing way more. So, in the SL classes, I'm doing 120 hours. But in the HL classes, you're doing 210. So, it's more content, more hours that you're together. Yeah.
Who's teaching for the AA No, just AA.
So, AA is Miss Stuckler.
Hey.
And who's the teacher for HLAI? No, that's
Good luck.
Oh yeah.
Here's some videos I'm not going to go on. But I wanted to give you, so before I start talking about my class, I wanted to give you like the broad overview just so you know all the 4 classes. So my class specifically is the AI SL. So Ms. P does the AI HL.
What are you?
And then Ms. Stucklick does the AA, and I think this year she has them all combined. So this is something to think about. Is like ask someone in the 11th grade. If you have a friend in 11th grade, ask them. You know, how's your class going? How did you decide on taking this class over this class? I don't have a lot to say beyond the fact that, you know, HL has more content and SL has less content, and for my class it's more like, we already went through, my class is more like applications, calculator heavy. So do you have any specific questions about AI, SL, my class?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the IA like?
That is the internal, it's a math paper that you write. So
Is that the same for all the
it's the same for all the classes. So in every single class, you're gonna write a math paper that's like 10 to 20 pages.
Like,
Yeah.
it's an exam.
It's not supposed to be writing. It's like diagrams.
Yeah, right, of course.
Like,
There's lots of
oh, so
diagrams.
you're not answering questions. You like.
No, so you could.
No, you're doing your own paper. Like, is there a correlation between, what did my student do? Is there a correlation between like height of football players and number of goals scored? Like,
So we answer questions given.
you're you're coming up with your own like research math paper.
And this is in school for one class. So like, how long does this take? We have to go to every class. We have to go find it.
Yeah.
Like, how long does an IA take?
To get there.
Well, you get a lot of time. So for just speaking for my class, you get a lot of time in class to work on it.
So like, not just one, like multiple classes, multiple days, multiple.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Multiple
it's months.
years. It's months. Oh, okay.
Months.
I thought it was like one class or 2 classes.
Yeah, so you'll have an IA in all your classes.
Are we
And
allowed to work on it at home?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna need to.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's mainly how.
And I already have to go. 10 minutes goes quickly.
Internal meeting that it's within my.
All right, do you guys have any other questions? Because I think someone else, oh, Mr. Dr. George coming up.
I have which class did you say is
Hold on, let's hold on, one more
which class
question.
did you say is recommended for physical sciences?
Physical science, yeah. Physical science, yeah.
Sorry, madam.
And of course, you could follow up with me or your math teacher for other questions.